It's one of the greatest mysteries of the 20th century. What happened to famed aviator Amelia Earhart? We know that on July 1937, she and her navigator, Fred Noonan, took off from Papua New Guinea and were expected to arrive in Howland Island in the Indian Ocean 2 days later, but they never made it. Their plane was 3 days overdue, and no trace of it or its occupants had been found. Numerous theories have been proposed over the years, but none have been confirmed. Some believe that Earhart and Noonan crashed into the ocean and drowned. Others believe that they were captured by the Japanese and executed. Still others believe that they survived and lived out the remainder of their lives on a remote island. But what if I told you that there is a secret message hidden in plain sight that may finally solve this mystery? It all starts with a photograph taken on July 1937, just 2 days before the Electra took off from Papua New Guinea. The photo shows Earhart, Noonan, and their crew chief standing in front of the Electra, and there is something very strange about it. When you look closely at the expressions on their faces, you can't help but notice that Amelia Earhart is smiling, but everyone else is grim and staring straight ahead. Even more strange is that when you examine the Electra itself, you can see that the registration number, NR 16022, has been removed. Why would Earhart and her crew have done this? Well, it turns out that they weren't just doing it for fun. See, the Electra was equipped with radio equipment that allowed it to communicate with ground stations around the world. But once it was in the air, the plane became a floating radio tower, and its signal could be picked up by anyone within range. That meant that the Japanese, who were in the process of invading the island of Howland, could track the Electra's signal and intercept the plane, if they so desired. So what did Earhart and her crew do to prevent this? They removed the Electra's registration number, which also happened to be its radio call sign. Without this, the Japanese would have no way of knowing who they were dealing with. They could still track the plane, but they wouldn't know that it was carrying 2 American aviators. This is where things get really interesting. When the Japanese did eventually capture the Electra, they found out that it was uninhabited. There was no sign of Earhart or Noonan anywhere. So why did they bother removing the registration number if they had no intention of flying the plane themselves? There's only one possible explanation. It was a red herring, a deliberate attempt to mislead the Japanese. In other words, Earhart and Noonan never intended to fly to Howland Island. Instead, they planned a rendezvous with a United States Navy seaplane there. But something went wrong, and their plans were changed. What those plans were, and what ultimately happened to the Electra, remains a mystery. But one thing is certain. Amelia Earhart was a lot smarter than her captors gave her credit for. If you want to hear more intriguing stories like this one, stay tuned.